Hello, folks. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today's LinkedIn Live. I'm Ben Slater, SVP of Marketing here at Beamery, and today we're going to be discussing how generative AI is shaping the future of HR. The world of work, the world of business is changing rapidly, and generative AI is one of the latest advancements that's been getting a ton of attention in the headlines, in the investment cycles, and obviously in the way that we're starting to operate as organizations. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And we'll be focusing on HR. How is HR changing? And what is the potential for change with this new emerging technology? So before we get into the meat, the alphabet soup of LLMs and GPTs and AI, I wanted to start us off with some pretty shocking data. So the latest research from the World Economic Forum estimates that in the next 5 years, 6 out of 10 of us will need to learn new skills just to keep doing our current jobs. So forget about any new jobs, any new professions. For us to stay relevant, we need to upskill, we need to reskill, and we need to continuously focus on that growth. And for businesses, they need to be able to do this in a way that is totally at scale and that really has never been done before. So is generative AI the solution? Well, it's part of the solution, right? And we're going to get to that in just a second. But before we do, let's take a look at the traditional talent acquisition and talent management process, because I think it's a helpful way to start before we kind of get into the detail. Now, as you can see from the chart, this tends to be a pretty linear process from job creation through to offer acceptance and onboarding. Now, the linear nature of it has some advantages, but in general, it creates a lot of reactivity. Jobs that only open when the business need is critical. The talent pool that tends to be reviewed as external doesn't take into account your total global talent pool or talent marketplace, or strategies that you might already be thinking about when it comes to buy, build, and borrow new skills. In short, is it the right solution for the type of skill transformation that is going to be required for us to deal with some of the prognostics that the World Economic Forum has shared? Probably not. So what is the solution? The HR and talent model is changing significantly. And we at Beamery like to think about this in terms of what we call the talent lifecycle. A single holistic model that allows organizations to continually engage and assess candidates, workers, and alumni to help them realize the skills and potential that they have and ultimately thrive within their organizations. This is a solution or an approach, I should say, that helps businesses plan more effectively, recruit for the right talent, and ultimately develop their workforce of the future. So before we get into the generative AI piece, as I said, I think it's worth just making sure we're all aware of the changing winds within the talent space and what this is likely to look like for organizations to be successful. Now, here it is, as I said, as promised, the chat GPTs of this world. And, I think from the outset, it's very clear that there's a lot that these models can do to help boost productivity and actually bring more meaning to our working lives. If you think about at least the current use cases for automation, really what large language models are doing is helping to take out a lot of the busy work, a lot of the things that different people within different jobs actually waste a lot of time doing, automate those processes so that actually their career, their day-to-day life has more meaning, and that they can focus on the activities that are really high value and high yield. So change is inevitable. We need to do something different for us to be able to fill the skill transformation gap that we've already touched on. But understandably, any change is difficult. Whatever you're changing, be it a kind of new morning routine or change of the breadth and scale that we're talking about here. And some of the common reservations that people typically have as, will AI create bias? Is there going to be compliance risk across different geographies? What is this going to mean for employee and company data privacy? Are we going to lose jobs? And will AI change the nature of the workforce significantly? And look, these are all really valid concerns. And if not handled appropriately, some of them, particularly around bias, I think are very real risks, and we'll get into that in just a second. But I think that's why having and starting with a really clear strategy as to the business outcomes that you're looking to create before you start thinking about the application of AI is really important. There's so much buzz out there today about different solutions and the efficiency gains that they might be able to offer different folks within the HR organization. Is that, writing a faster job description, right? Or writing an email to send to a candidate. The problem is that, if the most effective guardrails are not in place, then, using those models can actually create a fair amount of business risk. And so it's important to evaluate these things super holistically and make sure you're taking into account any potential downside risk. But I don't want to be all doom and gloom. We know that if, these technologies are embraced and deployed effectively, they can obviously create a significant amount of productivity, efficiency, and ultimately flexibility for both employers and employees. So I think there's a lot of good here, and we need to make sure that we're focused on that versus just the doom and gloom. So wanted to talk a little bit about Talent GPT. So Beamery announced Talent GPT a little while ago now, the world's first generative AI for HR. And it's been a long time coming for us as a business. We've actually been working on these large language models for over 5 years. And when we started the process, our goal was not to create a model for human language, right? And if you look at the way things like ChatGPT tends to work, it's really that, right? It's creating something that's purely conversational. Our goal was to help people discover career paths and enable companies to harness potential. It's really in line with the mission of Beamery as a business, which is really about creating equal access to work. And for us, building a fine-tuned large language models that has the capacity and power of a ChatGPT, but also is tied to the data that you have, the jobs that you're hiring for, the skills that you need, is pretty unique in the world of generative AI. And we're really excited about the impact that it can have for the experience for both the candidate, the employee, the recruiter, and the manager throughout the talent lifecycle. And for us, it all starts with asking questions, right? We think about how work tends to get done across an organization. It's, different people negotiating different systems, different workflows, different processes, sign-offs, approvals, infinite internal conversations to get the data intelligence you need. What if it was as simple as asking a question? And what if it was as simple as asking a question in the flow of work, where you are today? What if your team didn't have to spend time in disparate systems to get the information they need? What if they could just ask a question in the flow of work about the skills that they need to get certain projects done, where they might be able to find that talent, whether there are people within their business that are a good fit, that they could either reach out about a full-time role or offer a project or a gig to. And this is really the vision for us when it comes to Talent GPT and generative AI within the world of work. It's access to information and intelligence, and it's tying the ability to execute on that intelligence into the flow of work. So I guess a kind of effective disclaimer here is that Talent GPT isn't a sort of individual feature or function within Beamery. It's really part of the fabric of the entire solution. It's really there to create that connected experience for talent teams and employees. And as I said, bring those and surface those insights in the flow of work, or even within tools you already use like Slack and Teams within your browser. What if we could create technology that just got out of the way and let people get on with their day while having access to the information they need? That's really, I think, the vision for generative AI. So what are some examples, right? Because I think we've talked a lot of theoreticals in terms of the ability for people to move faster and get more done, create more personalization. Well, let's say a hiring manager is evaluating, you know, a new team they need to build in a new geography. Typically, the process today would work around an intake meeting with a recruiter, or focus on the types of roles or jobs that they need. But what if it was as simple as asking a question, you know? And what if it was as simple as asking a question, you know, hey, what do I need to launch this team successfully? And, you know, what if it was as simple as the managing being given data instantaneously that showed them the skill makeup of their current team that could be relocated, and the cost of hiring in that jurisdiction, and the likely time to hire that they would see based on existing market data, and, you know, the skill density that they or competitors have in the region. You know, if you think about the empowerment that managers are able to get based on that type of intelligence being provided in the flow of work, it's hugely powerful, and it helps them work more effectively with the recruiting organization around job design and skill calibration, and obviously with the HR organization as well around talent development and skill understanding. So I think it's really exciting. It's one possible application for generative AI in HR. I think there's a lot of other applications that get talked about a lot, you know, helping recruiters write better job descriptions, right? Or checking whether job descriptions are, you know, biased, or, you know, helping recruiters write, you know, better email templates. And look, I think those things are important, but ultimately they're table stakes. I think the true power of generative AI goes far beyond that. And it's really this connected interface that ties together every element of your business to focus around what you need to be successful. Now, look, as I said, this is not all this beautiful rosy picture, and this world is moving so quickly that obviously there are significant potential for risk. And so I think the guidelines that we would always give is making sure that you work with vendors that have clear auditable models, that you are working with, you're avoiding these kind of black box AI models where you don't understand the inputs that are going into making certain recommendations, and that you're always working with a human in the loop strategy. So you always have a human who's actually making the decision. Really, when we think about generative AI, it's about servicing intelligence and insights so that a human can make a really informed decision. And I think that's ultimately the way that you need to think about it as well. So that's everything that we have for today. Hopefully you found today interesting and insightful. You know, we know this world is moving so quickly. You know, it's something that we spend a lot of time on with our customers and, you know, with the broader market to try and make sure folks are aware of the risks, the potential opportunities, and far more. So obviously, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. All of my information is just here, or get in touch with the team directly. Really appreciate everyone joining today, and have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.